You know what I hate the most about videos on YouTube? All the talking bullshit before. So I'm just going to get right down to it. Had someone send me a video that's comparing two things. They said, Andrew, what is the difference between a honey stinger waffle and the Stroop waffles from Belgian boys at Costco? That's a really good question. And so I just got done running after thinking about this whole thing, and this is what I decided to do. We're going to take a look at a honey stinger waffle, the Stroop waffle from Costco, and we're going to make a comparison. So what does this look like? All right, check this out. Our honey stinger waffle. Here is the nutrition label. Here is the Belgian boys waffle right now. All right, so looking at them straight up, you're like, man, those are pretty close, right? 40 calorie difference, not much fat. Let's make this a little bit easier. Hang on. Let's go here because I'm a nerd and this is the kind of shit that I do. So you send me a question, I'm gonna fucking answer it. Let's take a look and we'll start at the top. Kcals, Belgian boys at Costco versus honey stinger. Kcals, there's 40 more calories in the Belgian boys. All right, is that a big deal? Yeah, you know what? It kind of is. Like, it's more calories. Where's those calories coming from? They're coming from more fat. Is that positive? Not always. If you know me, I'm not a huge fat during fuel type of thing. If you watch my last Instagram, shit. Fat you take in takes 3 or 4 hours before it's even going to be available. And then even then, there's a small percentage of it that's used. So fat's not really useful. It has other uses for the gut integrity. I think using the gut, keeping it happy. A little bit of positive there. But on the flip side, fat can make your gut pretty nasty, hate you, slow down gastric emptying rate. So got to be careful with our fat intake. Let's take a look at the type of fat in here. Saturated fat, still pretty close. You need 2 grams, not a big deal. From a health perspective, we're not eating these Stroop waffles because we need healthy food. It's because we need some damn fuel. Protein, 1 gram a piece, no difference. Carbohydrates, look, 4 grams. It's not even worth talking about. The added sugar amount, about the same. Again, not worth talking about. Fiber, 1 gram to no grams. Who cares? Sodium, you know what? Not a big deal. Stick with it. Cost each, big fucking deal. At 30 cents each for a Belgian boy at Costco versus $1.25. That's about 4 times more expensive for a honey stinger. So if all things said and done, nutrient-wise, it's about the damn same. Can we break this down into ingredients and say, well, maybe sugars are better, or this is honey stinger specially formulated for what I do? Let's take a look. I did not put the ingredients in the list or the way that the order on the label. That's normally how it's done based upon the quantity of what's more is first and what's the least amount of ingredients is last. Here I just kind of compared them side by side. So if you look at honey stinger straight up, it's all organic. So if you're only going to eat organic stuff, clearly 4 times more expensive is a decision you need to make. And if you can make it, great, do it. And if it's not, well, let's talk about this. So wheat flour, organic wheat, it's still wheat based, right? So if you're gluten, you can't use this. Take a look at the fat type. All right, so we've got saturated fat at 5 and 3 grams respectively, Belgian boys versus honey stinger. So in the Belgian boys, we're getting palm, canola, and some fatty acids. In stinger, we're getting just organic palm oil. I don't know why people use the palm oil. Like, it's got a high fat content. Why not just use like a monounsaturated? I'm not really sure. Saturated fat's a long chain fatty acid. It's really not going to be used at all. So either way, I think that's just a bad decision. Maybe it comes down to texture, how it holds. Maybe it's a product viability thing. But from a fuel standpoint, who gives a shit? Okay, it's palm oil. I actually kind of like the canola and the palm oil and the Belgian boys a little bit better, but that's just me. Either way, it's got more saturated fat and more fat to begin with than the Belgian boys. So it's 1/6, 1/2 dozen of the other. Doesn't really matter. So let's take a look at the sugars. So in the Belgian boys, we got glucose fructose syrup. Okay. So honey stinger, they chose to use brown rice syrup. Brown rice syrup sounds more natural, okay? It's extracted and created from rice, no problem. It's almost all glucose, and there's no fructose in this. Where in our glucose fructose syrup, we're getting a little bit of both. Now that's not a bad thing, because from a fueling standpoint, we need both dual channel, dual pathway sugars. We gotta have fructose and we have to have glucose. They go, they're both digested differently, and when we combine them, we get like a 2-lane highway versus a single-lane highway. However, we can use twice as much glucose as we can fructose, so there is a ratio that we're kind of looking for here. We're looking for more glucose than fructose. So let's see what the story tells us from the ingredients. Glucose, fructose syrup, don't really know what that mixture is there, so I can't say. Organic brown rice, we know, is mostly all glucose. It's on order of pure glucose from the glucose sensitivity tests, right? If we're going to do, holy shit, what is it I'm trying to think of? What's the word? Oh my God, glycemic index is what I'm looking for. It's like a 98, and glucose is 100, so it's pretty darn close. All right, so then we're paying regular sugar. Pay attention to this. So they use organic sugar, regular sugar. You know what? Again, no difference from a nutritional standpoint. That's about 50-50 glucose, fructose. So I think that's pretty even. Then we go into the organic honey versus caramelized sugar. This is a taste preference, and it's also maybe even a heartburn or a FODMAP preference. So organic honey, as it's color-coded, is 30% glucose and 40% fructose. So we've kind of got an interesting mixture here. I still think it's still very glucose heavy on both and fructose light, which is good. It's the way we want it. Caramelized sugar can have a burnt flavor. It can give people heartburn. Honey, however, can be a FODMAP issue. And if you are FODMAP sensitive and honey is one of those for you, it can be a bit of a problem. So I think there's a give and take here. Which one do you tolerate better? Which one's not going to give you that burny acid reflux feeling? I think that's going to matter. Everything else here really doesn't matter. Eggs, soy flour, salt. You see how they all pair up. There's eggs and milk powder, some emulsifier blends. There's a few more ingredients in the Belgian boys than there are in the honey stinger. Can this be positive or negative? You know, butter and cinnamon. I guess you could see where the extra fat could potentially come from inside the Belgian boys with the addition of butter and not just palm oil. Do I want cinnamon in my stuff? You know what? I don't know. If I'm going to eat a couple over a few hours, who cares? Am I going to eat all of these all day? Cinnamon could be bothersome. I don't think so, to be honest. So let's sum this up. The ingredients are mostly the same. The sugar profiles are pretty damn close. The calories and things are pretty darn similar. Fat, not a big deal. Price, 4 times more expensive. One is totally organic and one is not. I think for you, you need to make the decision. Personally, I'd buy them both. I'd take them, I'd see which one gave me heartburn, indigestion, or not. And if none of them did, I would go with the cheaper one. And if you're an organic kind of person, then you know what? You gotta go with what you gotta go with. There you go, Susan. I hope that answers your question. Please don't send me any more stuff to take up my day. No, I'm just kidding. Send me all the stuff you want. I love doing things like this. I hope that helped. There are less expensive options out there for you to purchase. And to be really honest with you, the formulations from some of these supplement and fuel companies are absolute bullshit. So good on you for looking at something different. All right, right on.